Okay, my name is Mickey Choi Ho. Is that it?
Yes, thank you.
Mike 4, Nancy Carlson.
Georgiana Willis.
Harold Medensi.
Maxine McIntosh.
Cindy Whitney.
Lenny Ross.
Sue Ellen Kwong.
Ellen,
Does anybody have a pen?
Ellen Leonard.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Do you have an extra? Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Problem solved.
candidates. And it is 10:31, so we can start whenever you moderators are ready.
Oh, I'm starting to get up. I'm glad to see all of you here. We welcome, of course, always the press with the Globe and the representatives from TV6. This is being filmed and will be shown again later. We would like everyone aware that we're gathering to hear the candidates speak who wish to serve on the United Mutual Board of Directors. And the ballots will be mailed out to everyone in United who is registered on, let's see, August 30th. And then it's up to you to return them by September 20th. So you have just about a month there. And I would like everyone to remember that each year, a certain percentage of the residents of United must return their ballots. You don't have to vote on all of them. Some people might not want to vote. That's okay. If they still return it, signing the outside envelope like they're supposed to, it counts toward the varying from year to year percentage we need to make the election legal. A certain percentage of people have to return ballots for the election to be legal, or we haven't had to do it so far, but we would have to do it over at another time. So we hope you'll get your ballot and you'll vote. And if you know anyone who doesn't want to vote, ask them to please still mail in their ballot. Today we're going to have 7 candidates in front of you, and I'm so proud of these people stepping forward to take on the responsibilities that will be ahead of at least, I forgot now, four of them. All right, now let's see. I can't see their names. Is Nancy over here?
Question, procedure, out of order.
We're not taking audience questions or
Where's
comments
Ellen?
at this time. Thank you.
Security of the board members. All security out of order. All security.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. First, I'd like to introduce Ellen Leonard, who is
She's
seated
right over there.
here. Raise your hand again, Ellen. This is Ellen Leonard, one of our candidates. Next, Sue Kwam.
Good morning.
Thank you, Sue. Lenny Ross. Thank you, Lenny. Harold, is it Medensi?
Medensi, yes.
Harold Medensi. Georgiana Willis. Nancy Carlson. And Mickey Choi Ho. These are our candidates for today. Now, the way we're going to proceed is I have some prepared, excuse me, they'll be making opening statements. Oh, and the two of us, this is, I'm sorry. She's going to
Cindy
introduce
Whitney.
herself.
I did.
Okay, 2 moderators this time to keep this thing going for us. And first of all will be the opening statements. And this is the only time the candidates have 3 minutes in which to speak. The rest of the morning, their part will be limited to 2 minutes. And we are timing things carefully. I understand you will be able in the audience to see the timers as well as we are. All right. This will be their opening statements for 3 minutes. The sequence of seating starts them in this order. This has been, the way they're seated has been predetermined by a draw just before this meeting began. All right, first this morning, we'll ask for an opening statement from Ellen Leonard.
Maxine, quick question of order. The instructions were there's an opening statement and then there'll be a brief closing statement.
Did you hear that?
We have the closing statement listed at the end.
Correct. I just wanted to
Yeah.
clarify. That's what
Yes.
she said. Thank
Yes.
you.
This grandma's getting her hearing checked. All right, so Ellen Leonard.
Good morning, United members. My name is Ellen Leonard, and good morning to Maxine and Cindy. 12 years ago, I chose to make Laguna Woods my home. I love the natural beauty of the village, and I want to keep it this way. My career started in the mortgage industry.
Now I've got it.
Later, as Vice President of Operations, I oversaw the total operation of a mortgage company, from loan inquiry to appraisal to negotiating and funding loan contracts with private investors and institutional lenders. My duties included acting fiduciary as trustee of escrow operations and loan servicing, all requiring strict compliance. On top of the demanding job, I had to take care of my 2 teenagers. I was a single mom. So you can see that life has trained me to be a multitasker, patient, on time, and a good listener. And more important, pay attention to details and great negotiator. Now that my children are grown and I am retired, I would like to use my skills to maintain the beauty of this community for all members. For 2 years, I have closely watched United and GRF board meetings. I believe it is time for some fresh ideas and new mindset without rigid agendas. I started to give back to this community 5 years ago. In 2018, I was elected as treasurer of the Boomers Club, the largest social club in the village, later serving as president. Since I was involved with residents, I became aware of a need in this village. The need to improve communication so residents can gain a better understanding of the process of a board resolution. Resolutions that can impact our daily lives. My primary goal for offering my candidacy is to bridge the communication gap between governance and members.
30 seconds.
We need community awareness of pending board resolutions because these resolutions without objection in 28 days can be voted into a final resolution by the board. Remember, a resolution is a firm decision to do or not to do something. Resolutions can impact you and I, both financially and socially, so your vote will allow me to work for you. Thank you.
Whoa. Thank you,
Okay.
Ellen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Sue Quam.
Thank you, Maxine and Cynthia.
I am Sue Quam, and I'm currently a member of the United Board, and I serve as its secretary. I'm here today so you can get to know me a bit better and to ask for your vote for my continued work on the United Board. In March of 2023, I competed for an open position on the United Board and was selected to fill that position. Soon, I was resoundingly elected by my peers to become the board's secretary. Serving on the board is a rewarding way to get involved in our community, to know more neighbors, their aspirations for our village, and to ensure that our properties and grounds are preserved and protected. I have the skills to meet these objectives as I have a master's in public administration degree focused on city management and matching work experience. I was the customer relations manager in the Colorado Governor's Office of Information Technology, responsible for the customer service center, communications, strategic planning, policy development, and project management assignments. Earlier in my career, I represented state agencies, doctors, and employees in the Colorado State Legislature. Reasons for our continued successes were due to communication, coalition building, and understanding the needs of our constituents and our customers. When I retired, I wanted to spend my retirement years in a dynamic, safe, beautiful area with friendly residents and activities that would keep me healthy and engaged. I feel privileged to live here and know that capable residents need to offer their time and their talent to their community. I plan to use the skills I gained throughout my career to help my community. My goals for this 3-year term are to apply my master's in public administration and vast experience with customer service, strategic planning, policy development, and to help United become the best it can be. I want to enhance the value of our manners by improving their upkeep. I want to enhance our landscape and improve the appearance of our landscaping. We need to keep our HOA fees as reasonable as possible. I'll be available at various venues, town halls, committees, board meetings to listen to your suggestions and concerns. And I will support future resolutions that offer the most benefit for United residents. I ask for your vote to continue to serve on our board, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you. It's all right to clap. It certainly is. All right. Lenny Ross?
Thank you. My name is Lenny Ross. I have lived in Laguna Woods for 10 years and plan to stay here for the rest of my life. Upon elected as president of United Mutual, my first goal was to conduct the board meetings in a professional, business manner in order to be more productive, but also to create a welcoming environment for our residents to attend the board meetings. I have had the honor to serve as chair of MNC, Maintenance and Construction, serving in landscaping, United Landscaping Committee, and also MNC GRF. Since retirement income is usually fixed and doesn't grow as before, negotiating talent and budgeting teamwork becomes a prime focus for me. Last year, the United Board faced a difficult challenge. Our investment in mutual bonds was losing money as interest rates were rising. To get the vote of the majority of the board members to change the investment to T-bills with an interest rate as high as 5 to 6%, for months of work and many educational meetings were involved. I'm very satisfied that our investment scenario is now going in the right direction and earning interest every month due to our new solid investment policy. Our investments are no longer losing money. Additionally, we interviewed highly qualified investment advisors and selected Chase Bank as our new financial advisor. However, insurance looms as the next challenge for the board. Wildfires, drought, and flooding in different California locales are pushing our insurance rates up to a yearly cost of nearly $5 million. So the work is not yet done, and I will tirelessly continue to find the best possible solutions for insurance, as it takes years of attending board meetings and many different committee meetings to become familiar with the bylaws and rules in this community. With the experience I've accumulated from years of serving on the board, I am hoping to continue my service alongside with the support of residents. I hope I gain your support. Thank you very much.
Perfect timing. Harold Medensi?
Good morning, everybody. As I said, my name is Harold Medense, and I'm here to try to get your vote to get into this board and hopefully make some changes. Sorry. Anyway, Harold Medense, trying to get your vote so I can get some changes done in the board. The way it is run right now, in my opinion, is not properly run. Our money is going down the tubes. Nobody knows anything. There's secrecy in every area of this management. To me, that is illogical. I am a foreigner. I've been living here for a lot of years. I came when I was 20 years old. I'm 75 now. And I know how dictatorships feel like and look like because I lived in some of them. And this is one of them right now. When you ask a question, good morning, they ask you good morning, it says, how's the weather going to be? Oh, we cannot tell you that. That's all the answers you get is, we cannot tell you that. The money is going down the tubes. I hope all of you guys are rich. I am not. So I want to control the money that we spend. This is simple reason that I'm running. I don't like to do this. I am not a politician, but I am tired of just giving my money away and get nothing in return. Thank you.
Thank you, Harold.
That's the kind of director we need.
Your applause and your smiles are welcome. Please, no comments from the audience, from anyone in the audience. Later on, you'll have a chance to write your questions. Please do not continue to do that. I don't want to have anyone removed later on for overstepping the bounds. It's such a good opportunity to hear what these people have prepared, and they deserve our courtesy. All of them do. Thank you. Okay, Georgiana Willis.
Okay. My name is Georgiana Willis, and I've lived here for 10 years. I have a master's in social work, although most of my career was as a technical writer in aerospace and technology. I also started a 501c3 charity that builds wells in Africa, Asia, and South America. And so the combination of these various areas has led to a lot of detailed thinking. And so I just want to add one thing I just learned was the budget, the addition to the RHOA cost is going up in United, possibly $40 or more. That's what someone emailed me last night. This is unacceptable. I've been attending a lot of meetings, budget meeting and finance at GRF. There is no answer to a financial question. If you ask at the budget meeting about something on the proposed budget, the question is directed by Director Hopkins to Mr. Rojas. And Rojas answers with a non-answer, like who submitted this high-priced website that's way out of sight financially, and he would say sources. So, and then you go to the budget meeting or the finance meeting, and then when you ask a question that's financial, they said, oh, no, you have to ask that meeting at the budget committee. Sure, it's a circle. And VMS has asked us for $7 million to construct a new building for their security staff. The residents oppose the project. The mutuals oppose the project. But GRF is planning to move forward with it. The project must be stopped. Right now, you have the tail wagging the dog, VMS. And VMS and GRF seem to be one to me. One rubber stamps the other, no matter how outrageous the prices are on the budget. The audited financial statements for 2020 and 21 show GRF had a surplus of $6.25 million. What happened to the money? It was our money. It seems to evaporate. So we need a compliance audit and a forensic audit. And we need to see exactly what's going on with the money. And we need to choose an external auditing firm with no ties to any director at Laguna Woods. Also,
30 seconds.
Okay. I would like to serve you. I had no plans of trying to run for any office or anything, but I was just looking at these things, these expenses that were absolutely absurd. And then I started attending the meetings and looking at the secrecy and non-answers and being treated in a condescending manner here and there as well. So I'm running because I want to try and get things back, maybe help get our expenses down. And I think they
Thank you,
can come down.
Georgina. Thank you. Time. And now it will be Nancy Carlson.
Madam Chairs, members of the audience, I'm Nancy Carlson. Hello. A do-over. I'm Nancy Carlson. I've lived in this beautiful village since 2012. I've enjoyed clubs and served as vice president and treasurer of the Writers Board. I've not only been deeply involved in United Mutual, you all know me pretty well at this point, but importantly, GRF of the last couple of years, its budget, its proposed capital plan, because the GRF budget requests make up a significant portion of United members' assets. I'm presently 75 and fully cognitive to handle the duties of a director. I admit I lose my cell phone at least twice a week, and Siri tells me where it is. I cut my professional teeth in Fortune 100 and 500 companies in executive management. I studied business, architecture, design, law, participated in corporate acquisitions, created new businesses, developed corporate budgets, and had bottom-line shareholder responsibilities down to cents per share. My 50-year career includes service on both corporate and association boards. Fundamentally, I'm a creative CEO at heart. Have owned my own national company since 1994, Deux Amis, a French brand that had overseas production until I relocated it to Colorado to create work and jobs there. My 3 children and I owned a horse ranch in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, where we also housed and sponsored skiers who would become national, world, and Olympic champions. I served on the Colorado County Board of Supervisors Planning and Variance Commission and as president of the board for the Colorado Business and Professional Women. I relocated to Southern California in 1998 when my 2 daughters started college here after losing my spouse and had a young son starting the 4th grade. I'm a lifer parent. We wanted to keep our family close and intact. I've been both single mom and substitute dad ever since. My personal spare time is not on the golf course or the tennis court. My village hobby, if you will, is attending committee, budget, and oversight meetings, engaging with and listening to members.
30 seconds.
It's where I met the other dedicated members who came to urge and encourage me to run for the board based on my research and contributions for the very subjects that Harold just spoke of in Georgiana and Ellen, in which I came to respect their self-starting dedication and abilities worthy of a director to address these very issues that has excited this audience. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And now we have Mickey Choi Ho.
Good morning. My name is Mickey Choi Ho. I have been a resident owner of Laguna Woods Village for 11 years. As a scientist and former chemistry professor, I cultivated an analytical, factual, logical, and scientific mindset. I learned how to set up goals, define and solve problems, and achieve the best results. I also became skillful in transferring knowledge and teaching others. As a Presbyterian minister, counselor, and seminary professor, teaching church constitution and governance, I relate to people by listening, helping them identify their issues, and achieve their goals. As a chief executive administrator of a governing body of the church, and later as a financial advisor in the national headquarters office, I gained valuable experience in organization operations and how to effectively run day-to-day business to achieve larger goals. I have experience serving on boards of nonprofit organizations, including board of colleges and seminaries, women's associations, and charity organizations. I have served in various capacities as president, a board member, and staff person, and therefore I think I am well qualified to serve on the United Mutual Board. I speak both Korean and English language fluently and understand both American and Asian cultures deeply. My goals and philosophy of work and service are pursuing excellence and bridging the East and West. I strive for better communication and well-being for all members, inclusive of all languages and all cultures. I would be honored to use my gifts of leadership and rich experiences serving for the enhancing lives of Laguna Woods Village residents as a board member when I am elected to do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And now I'm
Ken-
turning the meeting over to Cindy Whitney, and many of you know her through our fame of years of her talent being shown on TV6, among other nice activities here in the community. And she will take, as my co-moderator, the reins of the program from here.
Thank you, Maxine, and thank you, candidates, for your very comprehensive opening statements. I'd like to take a moment to explain the protocol for today, so there will be an understanding of the process we are using in this segment. The prepared questions are going to be asked by the moderator, and each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond. We will rotate which candidate answers first each time a question is asked. The moderator will continue to proceed from left to right. Prepared questions will be directed to all candidates, and they will have this 2-minute opportunity, but not obligation, to answer each question. Please keep in mind that the candidates will kindly only speak when it is their turn, not ask questions of or address others on the panel, nor refute or disparage the remarks given by another candidate. This is not a debate. The timer will show candidates the amount of time they have left remaining and when their time is up. If the candidate goes over the time, the moderator will thank them and move on to the next candidate. Thank you in advance for monitoring your time. And we will begin with Sue this time because we began with Ellen in our opening statements. And Sue, the first question to you is, what is your understanding of the responsibilities of a director?
Oh, I do understand the responsibility of a director. I know how much time the job takes, and after serving for 8 months, I have given it and can continue to give it to the board, United Committees, and GRF committee assignments. I do the homework and research to contribute to those commitments. I have experience with state of Colorado government that taught me how to manage conflicts, strong personalities, and to find common ground. I am fair to all. I will listen to all residents, not just my friends or the loudest voices. I understand our fiduciary duties. Fairness also means money, fairness, honesty, and straight dealings. I pledge these even when they may be difficult facts to face and choices to make. So those are the things that I know that I can do well, and I have done well. I also believe in positive communication, teamwork, and I believe strongly in returning civility to our interactions with each other. I've had so many people come up to me and say, you know, I stopped attending meetings because it was a cage match. I felt it was very upsetting, disrespectful to the board members, disrespectful to the members, and I really want to get back to civility, where we can hear each other and work collaboratively with the money that we have
30
to
seconds.
continue to make this a beautiful place.
Thank you very much. I will address the same question to Mr. Ross. Mr. Ross, what is your understanding of the responsibilities of a director?
It's a very good question. We do have, as directors, board of directors, we do have, and an officer of the United, we do have fiduciary duties to our United board, but also to our members. We have to rely as much as possible on Robert's rules and Davis Sterling on the way we go about our procedures and protocols, and which we try to do on a daily basis. The main thing that I want to do, and I want to continue doing, is to improve communications. As a director, I think it's important that we continue to welcome our members to our meetings and create a positive attitude for them to come before us, whether they be on TV or in person and we try to resolve their problems. That's the main purpose we're here, is to resolve our residents' problems. And I hope that in a small way, I have been able to help with that. And the main thing is to create a situation where our finances are under good control now and for the next 5 years, because I think United had some missteps in the last few years, and we need to take
30
steps
seconds.
to create a more positive financial situation, which we've started. Thank you.
Thank you, Lenny. I will address the same question to you, Mr. Medense. What is your understanding of the responsibilities of a director?
To me, the responsibility is very simple, to represent the association, that is us, and listen to us, to see what is best for us, and then do a bridge of communication between Third and GRF. We're all one village. We all have different kingdoms that are being run right now. So in my opinion, I want to be the representative of us in the board, so we do a better job with everything that we handle. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Medense. Same question to you, Ms. Willis. What is your understanding of the responsibilities of a director?
Well, I agree with Harold. The responsibility is to the association. And we've got a large place here with a lot of different things going on. And I think it's really important to be in touch with what the people want. I'm seeing a lot of things that maybe need a little improvement here and there. And just basically a place where you're going to have harmony and people's needs are being met. That's very important. And fiscal accountability, because we've had a bad investment that cost us $1.2 million loss. And so things like that, which added $22 per month per man or to our HOA. And if it had gone into something that wouldn't lose money, we wouldn't have had that loss. So anyway, but basically whatever is going to promote for the betterment and protection of the future of this lovely village.
Thank you very much. Ms. Carlson, the same question over to you. What is your understanding of the responsibilities of a director?
A director is a fiduciary and has legal and financial implications. You must take it seriously. Matters that are confidential shall be held confidential. Matters that are in the realm of public disclosure should be disclosed.
Thank you very much. Next, the same question to Mickey Choi Ho. What is your understanding of the responsibilities of a director?
I believe the role of the directors can be summarized in 3 categories. 1, fiduciary responsibility, and 2, legal oversight, and 3, overall management of business and decisions. General duties of the directors and the responsibility of directors are enforce United's governing documents, collect, and preserve United financial resources, ensure United assets against loss as required by the governing documents or applicable law, and keep the common areas in state of good repair. So oversee all the aspects of our association and corporation and ensure community compliance with all the legal responsibilities and governing documents. I believe that's major responsibility.
Thank you, Ms. Choi Ho. And over to you now, Ms. Leonard. Same question. What is your understanding of the responsibilities of a director?
My understanding of the responsibilities of a director is the responsibility to the members and to be an effective leader and effective communicator, to support transparency in the budgets, be familiar with the Civil Code Davis-Sterling rule, which rules common interest developments, and familiar with the Corporations Code, be a thoughtful decision maker, follow through, and put others first. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to the next question, and this is for you, Mr. Ross. We'll begin with you because we're rotating left to right.
Well, we
What?
want them to write questions now.
No, we're going to go through these 6 questions.
Okay.
Yes. What suggestions do you have to improve Laguna Woods Village?
Well, one of the suggestions that I have for improving Laguna Woods Village was we have constant complaints or concerns about our landscaping. And we see it in the Globe, we see it all over. And when we had a similar problem with the canary pine trees, there was an article in the Breeze that said we were planning to cut down all of our canary pine trees, and all of a sudden we had a big turnout at our landscape committee. And so as a result of that, we set up a task force or an ad hoc committee, landscape ad hoc committee, made up of residents and VMS staff and board members to go take a look at the canary pine trees and see what can be done to protect them, which ones should be cut down. And we eased the stress on the community. We came up with a plan, and it worked very well under the directorship of Diane Casey. I'd like to do the same thing with general and landscaping because we continue to get concerns, and my suggestion would be to consider to set up an ad hoc committee to go out and involve the residents and involve staff, just like we did with canary pine trees.
30 seconds.
And see if we could come up with some solutions with getting the buy-in from our members on how we can improve our landscaping overall, because it's a continuous concern and a complex, and we spend a lot of money on landscaping, so we want to get our money's worth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Mr. Medense, the same question over to you. What suggestions do you have to improve Laguna Woods Village?
Mine is simple, but it's rush. We need a change of management. Simple as that. The way we run right now is not working. Whether we do right now is VMS is telling us what to do and our boards do it. We have to do and tell VMS what to do. And if we don't do that, we're in trouble. I don't care what you want to sell, all the ARCAD committees, all the things that you want to bring, and all the things you want to do, is not going to work. I am a simple person, and I have a simple mind. And mine is, if there's a trouble, find out what the trouble is and correct it. And the trouble here is management.
Thank you, Mr. Medense. Over to you, Ms. Willis. The same question to you. What suggestions do you have to improve Laguna Woods Village?
Okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, yes. I would end secrecy in the meetings because too many things are taking place in secret. And I would also, I would hire an external management company. Our company that we have now, or let's put it this way, we're paying $58 million a year for employee compensation for 711 employees, approximately. If you just divide that by 711, you get about 82 or 83,000. Now, most of them are not being paid that, but I'd sure like to know what the top 15 executives are taking home. Is it $1 million, or what is it? They are spending money like there's no tomorrow. We've got 15 police cars. They're always in the parking lot or they're moved now, I think, into a garage or something. We've got the buses running empty. We should have an external transportation company that's handling it efficiently. Because if you've got empty buses and then you're filling them with gas and they're running on, there's a way to do things correctly and there's an incorrect way to do things. And I think that basically everything that's going on now is pretty much so just mismanagement. And so, yes.
30 seconds.
Okay. I think that would probably, I do think that the budget needs a forensic review, the proposed budget for 2024. Because I only looked up 3 items, and I called a sound design company, and I said, I have an 800-seat theater, and they said it would be anywhere from $50,000 or $60,000 to $300,000 versus $600,000, which is what the budget calls for.
Thank you, Ms. Willis. Same question to you, Ms. Carlson. What suggestions do you have to improve Laguna Woods Village?
That actually almost calls for both aesthetics as well as management. And I'll focus on management. I think we have a serious management problem. Our management is a contract based. We're not married to them. We can change that. But within that, there's also the form of how we contract. So let's take a look at citing, Glenn brought up landscaping. In Silicon Valley and Palo Alto, in that vast area, and both in Colorado, we didn't give landscaping assignments to one company for vast areas. We bid it out and had people handle various hamlets. And we have a lot of hamlets in Laguna Woods that you could have various landscape companies even bid and take responsibility for that area. What happens is there's even internal competition between them in terms of wanting to keep their contracts and maintaining it, and that's just one concept. There's the issues of transparency in the budgeting. I've never seen budgets, whether GRF or VMS, with so many zeros, and that's my 50 years of history. I'm appalled by it, to be honest. Months and months ago, I wrote and requested, through record requests, information on the backup to the budget line items so we could see how are they calculating this, what are their suppositions and propositions. And they wrote me back. I cited the law, the Jervis Tailing, that allowed me to review this for the benefit of the membership. And they said, yep, you're entitled to it. It's now 7 and 8 months later, and I've yet to receive a document, and I politely request it. It's about transparency as well. So it's management, it's transparency, and we have had ransoms, and any corporate low-level executive will tell you that if you've had these incidents even once, you better have a forensic accounting. And in this instance, we also need compliance accounting.
Thank you, Ms. Carlson. Thank you. Ms. Choi Ho, the same question to you. What suggestions do you have to improve Laguna Woods Village?
I love living in this community. It's a beautiful facility and all the diverse people together and doing activities, so on. I believe the issue is a little communication. So I think we could improve communication. Even the management, between the management and boards, honestly speaking, even before I come to this table, I lived in 12 years here. Of course, I was working full-time. I didn't know what was the structure of the United Mutual, Third Mutual, and, and GLF and VMS, so on. So I think we need to improve that communication by board member goes to the resident. Yes, we are working for the benefit of all the residents, and we are the resident. But as a board, we probably could set up some kind of channel that we could communicate better. For example, after our town hall meeting, board member can come as a group or individuals and talk to the resident, and we have honest and communication, so on. And also diversity. Well, I myself is an immigrant, and we have a lot of I mean, Asian people has 13 different languages, and most of you probably do not know that. And all Asian, all same, just eating rice, right? But actually, diversity is more than that. So we need to learn from
30
one another
seconds.
and have a unified and harmonious community, and bringing club activities together from time to time, and celebrate our American diversity. And then all the management problem issues could be resolved in a way, in positive way, and we can make this community better.
Thank you, Ms. Chan. Back over to Ms. Leonard. Same question to you, Ms. Leonard. What suggestions do you have to improve Laguna Woods Village?
My suggestion is to improve communication, inform people, make better decisions. Miscommunication creates chaos, like the Canary Pines fiasco. Also publish a notification alert to inform residents of pending resolutions that are in a 28-day consideration time before it becomes a final resolution. Publish these pending resolutions in TV6 messaging or the Globe. And communication and transparency. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Leonard. All right, we're going to go to...
I didn't get asked the question.
I'm sorry?
I didn't get asked the question.
Yes, I was going to say we're going to go to Ms. Quam. We're going to go to Ms. Quam now with the same question. What suggestions do you have, Ms. Quam, to improve Laguna Woods Village?
Thank you. As a board member, I'd like to focus our time on critical and high priority items and minimize the time spent on routine and minor issues. We have a lot of smart people on the board, and we can get a lot more accomplished with a little different approach to our communications. I think we need to make sure that we're getting good value with our contracts. We need to direct staff to revisit our contracts and maximize and leverage what we get for our money. We need to seek things that will give us rebates for the improvements we make in water usage, solar power, and the equipment we purchase. As with all major companies, we need to financially empower our IT group to streamline operations so we can staunch administrative growth and costs by allowing them to work smarter, not harder. We need to address problems with the resident services requests. We need to be able to easily check and see the status of our requests, and not just that they're closed. This happens too often, that residents don't see what the staff did regarding their issue, but it's marked as closed while the resident is still waiting for service. We need to really work on that. Human resources. We want to hire and retain great employees. People make the difference in service and success. That takes a commitment to pay and benefits. Since labor costs are a major part of a budget, then it will always be a budgetary concern. I think we also need to see if we can't make sure that residents and board members understand the budgeting process as it sets the priority of work through funding. It's also a place to discuss our changes. Finally, we need to focus on the positive. We live in a little slice of heaven. This is paradise.
Thank you so much.
Let's enjoy it.
Thank you, Ms. Quam. Mr. Ross, same question to you. What suggestions do you have to improve Laguna Woods Village?
I thought I started.
He answered it.
You did answer that.
did.
Well, do you have anything else to say about that question, Mr. Ross?
No, well, I do have something else to say.
Well, then, I'm sorry.
Or should I say it?
I'm just joking.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the next question,
Okay,
Mr. Ross.
that's fine.
Have you read or are you familiar with the occupancy agreement and bylaws of United Woods Mutual?
Yes, I read and I'm familiar with both of those documents.
Thank you. Is that your statement?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Medense, the same question to you. Have you read or are you familiar with the occupancy agreement and bylaws of United Woods Village?
the same answer I have.
Okay.
I'm sorry, we did not hear that.
Yes, I have.
Ms. Willis, over to you. Have you read or are you familiar with the occupancy agreement and bylaws of United Woods,
Yes, I
United
have.
Laguna Woods Mutual? Excuse me. You have?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Ms. Carlson, same question to you. Have you read or are you familiar with the occupancy agreement and bylaws of United Laguna Woods Mutual?
Yes, I am familiar with those as well as the operating rules.
Okay. Ms. Choi Ho, same question to you. Have you read or are you familiar with the occupancy agreement and bylaws of United Laguna Woods Mutual?
Yes, I have.
Okay. All right. So we will go over to Ellen.
Yes.
Ms. Leonard, same question. Have you read or are you familiar with the occupancy agreement and bylaws of United Laguna Woods Mutual?
Yes, I have read and I am familiar with the bylaws and the occupancy agreement.
Ms. Quam, have you read or are you familiar with the occupancy agreement and bylaws of United Laguna Woods Mutual?
Yes, I have read them, and I am familiar with them. Our original trust document that set up Laguna Woods Village, which are our United Articles of Incorporation, there are the internal documents that outline how the corporation should be run. It's examples like accepting and rejecting membership, establishing monthly assessments, managing occupancy agreements, disciplining members, establishing the rules, regulations, policies pertaining to the property of the corporation, and informing residents of rule changes. So those are just a few of the things.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Quam. All right, the next question is over to you, Mr. Medense. What specific contributions do you believe you can make? On what committees do you feel competent to serve?
Well, competent to serve, I don't know, but the committees that we need to look closely to it is definitely all that have to do with gardening and buildings, because that's where most of the money is going and the results are not there. So yes, I have experience in both of them, and those are the ones that could help.
Thank you very much, Mr. Medense. Ms. Willis, the same question to you. What specific contributions do you believe you can make? On what committees do you feel competent to serve?
I think the greatest contribution I could probably make is cutting costs. I think they were just sky high. And I think I've been to a number of committees. It's hard to pick offhand. Different ones have brought different benefits. I'd have to look at them all to really select one over another. I would want to be where I can do the most good.
Thank you very much, Ms. Willis. Ms. Carlson, the same question to you. What specific contributions do you believe you can make? On what committees do you feel competent to serve?
Thank you. Based on my professional experience and expertise that I've gained over the years in certain areas, I would say business management, architecture and planning, the budget particularly, legal documents, and particularly the resolutions and the regulations. The resolutions should be split for not just resolutions, but rules. If anybody has ever gotten a yellow ticket here in the very bottom, you'll see it where it refers to a resolution. Someone gave me one because they actually our whole carport got them, and they were all in uproar about it. And I said, let me look it up. I had to go back to 2005 and read through 184 pages to find that rule. And then I looked, and I went from 2005 to present. On the website, every year there are rules. And when I did the math on it, and it includes, like, Joey didn't pay his monthly assessment last month, all those are included in the resolutions, not segregated as rules. And I was stunned. It added up to about 30,000 pages. So rules need to come out separate, but I would be very good at that. And frankly, 4 years ago, I wrote the board and said, you need to segregate these out and do this. And my understanding, it was going to be done. Nonetheless, so business, the management aspects and the budgeting. Architecture and planning is right up my alley. The legal aspects of language for putting these things forth in common English for people to easily understand, because everything we write now is not in the current common English in the law, which is we do whereas, and it takes 10 minutes to find out it says don't park your bike in the sidewalk. So
15 seconds.
I really think that I have kind of a broad base in that, having been at the CEO level, and I'm happy to participate. Oh, in addition, I'll add, of course, the Equestrian Center.
Thank you, Ms. Carlson. The same question to you, Ms. Choi Ho. What specific contributions do you believe you can make? On what committees do you feel competent to serve?
Well, from the scientific background to the pastoral counseling position to the administrator, I think I have a variety of gifts to contribute. However, most recently, last 20 years, I've been teaching governance and constitution at the seminary and for the incoming pastors for the denomination. I am familiar with the governance structure and some parliamentary procedure and so on. And the important aspect of board, the responsibility is governance. So I believe that I can contribute to governing document committee. And then the other committee that I can serve is a finance committee, because last 20 years that I've been serving as a loan and investment officer for the headquarter office of the General Assembly Presbyterian Church USA, which is very large organization. And I've been involved in many aspects of financial area. So I think I can contribute my very recent experience and gift and knowledge at the Committee of Finance.
Thank you, Ms. Choi Ho. Ms. Leonard, over to you. Same question, please. What specific contributions do you believe you can make? On what committees do you feel competent to serve?
Okay, I'll start with the committees. I would like to serve on the governing docs and the finance committee because my experience, I have skills in those areas. But I'd like to touch upon, since our HOA operates on a shared cost, I want to create a more user-friendly financial reporting system for all boards that delivers all the information necessary to make informed decisions. Like, I'll take the Equestrian Center, for example. I was researching it, and the report, I had to dig through several different reports, committee reports on how many horses there were, how many were owned by GRF, how many were paid stall fees, how many were billed each boarder each month, a detailed summary of income and expense. The information is scattered throughout numerous reporting systems. I'd also like to do United outside service expense report to include detailed outside services, what projects they worked on, how many employees, how long from start to finish. Those are just a few things that I think that we can work on as far as on the detailed reporting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Leonard. Ms. Quam, same question to you. What specific contributions do you believe you can make? On what committees do you feel competent to serve?
I know how much time the job takes, and I've given it and continue to give this time to the board, United Committees, and GRF committee assignments. I actually do the homework, and I research and contribute to these commitments. Last month, it was a very unusual month, but we had over 222 pages of information to read in our policy packet for the board. I read every single page so that I could contribute and to help out. I want to know the issues, and you have to back that up. You have to go to the committees. You have to serve on the committees. And the committees that I serve on now are landscape, architectural controls, and at GRF I have media and communications, broadband ad hoc, landscaping, and IT. And I attend all those meetings as well as additional meetings so that I'm familiar when things come up before the board. I attend just about all the finance committees because that's the driver. What's funded, you do. So we have to understand that. And we also need to know where we can make the changes. I don't see significant amounts of money wasted. I have been very careful in reviewing these documents, and I have worked with the staff. I think the easy things that have been done to make the cuts have been
30
done.
seconds.
And that would mean what we do now is we would have to cut the services. And as I mentioned earlier, we also need to look for money. We can't just say, oh, there's nothing we can do. We're just doomed. We have to look at rebates. We have to look at ways that we can get additional money in. And we need to maximize our dollars. I worked in an IT department. It is vital that you get the IT system up and running that is excellent.
Thank you, Ms. Crown. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one final question to ask, and before I ask that, I want to make sure that the audience has an opportunity to fill out the cards that will be submitted. Oh, I'm so sorry. No wonder everyone's staring at me so angrily.
We'll just keep going.
I was just excited about the audience participation. Mr. Ross, I want to know about the specific contributions you believe you can make, and on what committees do you feel competent to serve?
Thank you. So I think based on my financial management experience, I'd feel most comfortable serving on the Finance, United, and GRF committees. I want to talk about an issue of finance, and I opened this up at our last board meeting, and I think our residents need to know a little more background about Building E, because it seems like a deep, dark mystery and a deep, dark hole. And I think we need to have an understanding about it. And I'm going to give you the little 2-minute version about Building E. About 6 months ago, the board of directors, the mutual boards, all got together and voted down Building E. And this would have been a replacement of the current Building E that needed to be replaced because it was getting old and needed to be replaced. The employees need to be relocated. So it was voted down. And what United came up with was an option, an alternative solution. United members came up with the idea of let's get those employees out of a building that they needed to, and put them in a community center by us where they're renting facilities for the next 2 years. At the same time, we agreed to hire a company called Austin Company, which, by the way, costs $50,000 to do a report. And they came up with several other options
30
to
seconds.
move people from the community center to other locations. And it was bloated, and we felt that the alternatives came out quite interesting, about 6 to 8 million for all the alternatives. And we disagreed with that. So we set up a committee to try to come up with a less expensive way of doing it. And that's where we're at now. The committee is comprised of United, Third, and GRF members. And we're trying to come up with a less expensive option.
Thank you,
That's what
Mr.
we're
Ross.
working on. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we're going to ask one final question, and we're going to begin with Ms. Willis when we do that. But in the meantime, I want to make sure that we have audience questions that are being written. And the cards have been distributed or will be distributed. The questions will be submitted by these cards, and they're going to be, the corporate secretaries are going to give them to you. Please write legibly. They will then be collected, sorted, and bundled by topic and determined in which order they will be read. Multiple similar topic questions will be sorted together. Please do not direct your questions to any specific individual. At the appropriate time, the co-moderators will read these audience question cards, and each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond. So,
And staff can add anything maybe we forgot.
Yes, as one brief reminder, we asked to only put one question per card.
Card.
Thank you.
okay. All right, let's continue with the final prepared question, and I'm going to begin by asking Ms. Willis this final question. Discuss briefly how you would handle an action that the board feels is in the best interest of the community but goes against public opinion. Yes, of course. Discuss briefly how you would handle an action that the board feels is in the best interest of the community, but it goes against public opinion.
Well, it's a democracy in a sense, so the majority rules. I think it's important to make your side known, but so in other words, if you're just saying if it's against a popular opinion.
Well, if this, yes.
The majority
as the question
rules
is
on the
read,
board,
yes.
you can make your case known, but that's the way it's structured. So I would make my case or my point of view known, but ultimately it's about a majority view. And I'm assuming you're not referring to something that would be illegal or something like that, just a decision that you might be in disagreement with.
Yes.
Yes.
If the board feels it's in the best interest, but the community goes against it.
And then they're the majority.
Thank you. Over to you, Ms. Carlson, the same question. Discuss briefly how you would handle an action that the board feels is in the best interest of the community, but goes against public opinion.
Well, we try to function on a democratic basis, but this is also begging the question, is there a motion that the board must act on, in which case the motion passes or fails? And the opinion of the community really precedes the debate on the motion that's on the floor.
Thank you very much. Ms. Choi Ho, the same question. Discuss briefly how you would handle an action that the board feels is in the best interest of the community but goes against public opinion.
Of course, directors have a duty of loyalty to act the best interest of association. This means when a director walks into the boardroom and make a decision that you just take off the hat of the resident, and then wear the hat of board, which means on the behalf of the association and mutual. Well, basically, what I learned from the decision-making process in the parliamentary procedure, we always have to care about accuracy and efficiency and impartiality and objectivity and uniformity. So we try to preserve the right of the public and unity, but in the actual decision process, always the majority shall prevail. The rights of minority shall be protected. So what best decision-making process is that listen to everybody's voice and try to implement in the board's direction of the decision. So what I try to do is that probably before the issue comes out and before the decision is made, and we communicate the majority in public. However, board decide on behalf of the majority, so we have to follow that. That is our duty of board responsibility.
Thank you. Same question to you, Ms. Leonard. Discuss briefly how you would handle an action that the board feels is in the best interest of the community but goes against public opinion.
The best interest of the community is primary. So against public opinion, they would have to acquiesce, and the best interest of the community is primary.
Thank you very much. Ms. Quam, the same question. Discuss briefly how you would handle an action that the board feels is in the best interest of the community but goes against public opinion.
this is a very unfortunate situation. You don't want to be in those types of situations if you can, possibly stop that from happening. I think people forget that a board member is responsible for the ownership of the corporation. And the corporation is all of us. It's every single resident, it's all of our properties, it's all of how we manage to live here. So there are going to be unpopular things that happen. I think we need to really look at the process as to how we got there, though. This should be fully established in committees. This should be publicized. We should, if it's a very controversial issue, we should have held hearings. We need to look at how to make it better in the future. I worked for an individual who, when we rolled out broadband in the state of Colorado for state agencies and cities, his philosophy is that you try something. And, you have to try something to move you forward. If it fails, reevaluate it, and then do it, start with something different. But I really think that we need to spend far more effort making sure that everybody is up to speed, that things are clearly defined as to where we are. We don't want to make decisions that are unpopular with the community. That's not what we're trying to do.
30 seconds.
We are trying to do what is best for the group. And if you put that forward and it is best for the group, then you have to live with it. But if it isn't, revisit it. Look at it again. Don't just say, we're doing this and that's it. Come back and evaluate.
Thank you, Ms. Quam. Mr. Ross, same question to you. Discuss briefly how you would handle an action that the board feels is in the best interest of the community but goes against public opinion.
You have to remember that we are elected by the members to be board of directors, and we represent the members. So if a vote is taken on our board in favor of a resolution, even if it's not popular, the majority rules, and whether you're on the minority or majority of your board, you owe it to your board to support the majority opinion. Now, down the road, if you gain more information and want to bring the resolution back with additional information to support it, you're welcome to do that as a board member. But at the time that the resolution is passed by the board, and if it's passed by a majority vote, you owe it as a board member to support your majority ruling. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Mr. Medense, the same question to you, please. Discuss briefly how you would handle an action that the board feels is in the best interest of the community but goes against public opinion.
I think this is very simple. First of all, when you're going to make a decision, hopefully the association in general knows what you're talking about. You cannot make a decision, I don't care how good it's going to be for the benefit of everybody, if nobody is informed of what's going on. Definitely, the board is elected. The board has supposedly the voice of the people, but the voice of the people sometimes is telling you you're doing something wrong. You have to listen to it. But if you got a vote that has to go in today and you don't agree with it, vote no. Simple. If you agree with it, vote yes.
Thank you, Mr. Medense. We're going to take a brief moment to collect the audience statement cards and organize them, and we will begin shortly and ask the candidates those questions.
That's my simple mind working.
Okay. All right. You can ask. Why don't you ask that one? And we are, hang on.
All right. Did everyone get the card they needed? Remember, one question per card. If you have two questions, just take two cards. And they're being handled right up here where Maggie is right now. Maggie Blackwell. Okay. First question. This is a reference to something prescribed in the Board of Directors Handbook. The board is the responsibility of directives and oversight. The managing agent is responsible for managing the policies and executive finances, I believe. It's abbreviated. So question, we've been reminded of this person's understanding of the responsibilities. So based on those responsibilities, what the difference total, these two responsibilities, and what's the difference between these two responsibilities? And give examples. What's the difference between these responsibilities?
Is that me?
Oversight and handling the money, and give examples.
It's Ms. Carlson's turn.
Okay. So,
I have no problem answering a question, but it's a very unclear question to me, and it's a compound question.
all right. Would someone else like to take that question
We're going in order, Ms. Choi.
for each question?
Well, I think, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Well, as I said, it's hard to answer a question that is a compound question because there's multiple questions in there.
And your answer was, difficult to answer. All right.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, but anything to add?
If it's, we don't want a compound question, so we should probably strike the question. Strike the question.
Yes.
Well, we used to give any, they could raise their hand if they wanted to answer it the second place.
It's very difficult to read. The question is very, very difficult to read, for one thing, so we're trying to determine what the question is.
Next question. Be quiet. Answer the question. Be quiet.
All right, I'll try once again. Considering the oversight that the board practices, the directives that the board of directors must follow, and that the managing agent is responsible for managing the policies and executive. And the question, okay, what's the difference between these two responsibilities? The difference between practicing oversight and actually managing the policy, apparently. Now, shall we offer it to, they can raise their hand?
You don't need to answer these questions. These are optional, so if you choose to not answer the question.
I think it was to both of us, but I want to just reiterate, since you've read it again and I was first in queue, it is a very confusing question, and also the element of the statement is presuming that that's a fact, that is what is written in some director handbook, and we don't know that. So it's not to be obfuscative, it's a very confusing question that's making a presumption of fact that we're supposed to answer, that it is a fact, and it's a clumsy compound question. No offense to the author.
Thank you. Just take a moment out here. How many questions did we receive? Try to allow time for them.
We have 4 more questions.
All right. We do not have a large number of questions, lower than usual. Usually we get so many we can't get through them all. So what we will do is give every candidate an opportunity to answer the question. If that candidate chooses so, remember, the option is there to pass on a question. but we will give each candidate an opportunity to answer. So now we would be at Mickey Cho. Choi.
I believe that the question is meant to be this way. My interpretation is that board responsibility is the overseeing. So it's setting the policy and make the management people try to manage all the projects properly. It's oversight of that. So there is no board, it's no responsibility that board says, go to the management company, management people do this and that and that and that. That is management entity's responsibility. So when we try to reinforce that policy, which means the execution of that policy is the responsibility of the management. So when we see the issues and problems, that board cannot directly to go to that particular department, but go to the committee, and committee need to deal with them. Or if you really have to go directly to the management company, then we can go to CEO and talk to them. But have management people go to their department and try to resolve the issues. So it's a policy making and the execution, implementation of the policy. I think that is what the person who asked the question. That's my interpretation.
Thank you. All right. Harold Medensi.
The same question?
Go over to Ellen.
I'm sorry. Do I have the wrong list? From after Mickey, Ellen. This is better. Okay. So it's.
Could you read the question? Repeat the question for Ms. Leonard, please.
Wait a minute. Which is the,
Ms. Choi, so now we're over to Ms. Leonard. So
it's
Ms.
best
Choi.
to stick with this one. Okay. Yeah. We're looking at a lot of lists today, and my wonderful co-moderator is good at making them, thank goodness. Okay, that was Mickey Choi, and now Ellen Leonard.
I pass.
All right. And Sue Kwam.
I really don't want to speak too much about this because I really don't know that I totally understand the question. I think what they're asking is what does VMS do? What do our boards do? What does our staff do? And so VMS, if that is the question, they're our management company, and they handle our overall strategic plan for the entire village. They handle our contracts, they handle our employees. Our individual boards, such as United, Third, the Towers, we're responsible for the activities that occur within our arena while sharing joint services. When I first came to the board, I thought that we just had our own little landscape group and we had our own little maintenance group and all of that. That is not the case at all. It is a merged amount of staff and funds. So we get to allocate how much money we want to spend toward the upkeep of our sections. So I believe that is the question. And then, of course, our staff advises us, and they follow the policies that we set forward.
Thank you. Lenny Ross.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you an example of what I think the question means. So when we set a budget, and I'm just going to give you an example of a budget item being roofs. Lettner Roofing Company does our roofs. And the board is in charge of identifying the budget for roofing for the new year, how many roofs are going to need to be replaced, repaired, et cetera. And so we set that budget with working with staff, and that's our responsibility. But it's staff's responsibility to make sure the job gets done at the right price, the contracted price, gets done well, and is completed on time. So That's VMS's responsibility. And we're not supposed to interfere with their responsibility. They're not supposed to interfere with our responsibility. So our responsibility is to set the vision of how many roofs need to be repaired and replaced in United. And their responsibility is to engage the workers and make sure the work is done properly. It's monitored and managed, and it's done on time, and it's done at the price that we had agreed to pay. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Lenny. All right, Harold Medensi?
I pass on this one.
I didn't hear you. All right, that's a pass. And then it will be Georgiana Willis.
I pass as well.
We have another pass. And then Nancy Carlson.
I think I was first and abstained.
Yes.
She was the first.
Yeah, she's answered that.
Okay. And Michelle Coe already answered. All right. You want to take the next one?
So we have a second question, and I will give this to Nikki Choi Ho. And the question is, how will you deal with insurance issues so loans can be available for sales?
Well, I think it's a big issue right now. I learned non-institutional loans. I have learned, and I studied a lot of it as a member, and it seemed like that selling loan to the non-institutional company is supported by some of the investors and so on. But some resident who doesn't have much cash assets, they have some problems. That's what I heard. But honestly speaking, I do not have all the facts since I have never served on the board. So if I am elected, I can research more and do all the due diligence work as a board member. And then I will decide. So at this time, I cannot say yes or no, for or against, but I'll do my duty as a board and then decide.
Thank you, Ms. Choi Ho. Over to Ms. Leonard. Ms. Leonard, same question. How will you deal with insurance issues so loans can be available for sales?
Well, that's a tough question because we're still dealing with that. And I believe that I would possibly use our money and post a bond so that we could be possibly like self-insure. And the other part of the question was?
How will you deal with insurance issues so loans can be available for sales?
And we have been in ad hoc committees, and I think Maggie came up with a deed or a note that we would use private lenders instead of your Fannie Mae lenders. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Ms. Kwam. The same question. How will you deal with insurance issues so loans can be available for sales?
I think we need to challenge the assumption that we cannot get loans just because we cannot buy enough insurance. Third is not able to buy total coverage of insurance, but yet they are getting loans. I would like us to try to figure this out. I think it makes it much more difficult because we are a cooperative and we have shares instead of an actual property. But I do think we need to look at this and say, why is this happening? And go from there. I think we need to work on trying to lower our property insurance, or at least staunch the tide of having it increase, because it's making it very, very difficult for us in our homeowners association to be able to afford it. Right now it's per man or per month, $50. I was horrified at that. and knowing that it was going to go up. And we were quite concerned about that. Then the other day, I got my little HO6 policy, and I am paying $156 per month for my Manor, and I obviously will be looking because my policy does not cover nearly what is covered here. So I think it's very difficult on this issue. And so there's a resolution before the committee now, and it is controversial. And it is whether or not we should provide non-institutional lenders to come into the community and offer their services. There are pros and cons to this, and I would encourage people to come to the next board meeting to learn about it. And also check the board packet because it will have that resolution.
Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Ross. The same question. How will you deal with insurance issues so loans can be available for sales?
As everyone knows, or as most of you know, the insurance that we currently have on United Fire Insurance is about $225 million. In order to get full replacement cost insurance, which is prohibitively expensive and probably can't even be bought, we'd have to buy over $1 billion of insurance. So that's not an option. And right now, our current policy is threatened to go up based on $225 million. So we have to look for another option. And the other option is the non-institutional loan program, which our board has reviewed in a task force, in an ad hoc committee, and it's been submitted to our board. We've made some changes to it at last month's meeting, and it's been reviewed by council. It's gone out for a 28-day review, and it's hopefully going to be approved at the next board meeting. So we welcome you to come to that. The only requirement for a non-institutional loan borrower is that they have to sign our recognition agreement in order to engage in the loan. And a recognition agreement promises that if the homeowner defaults on their HOA, that the person loaning the money will pay for the HOA dues. And also United is put in first position if there's a default on the Manor. But I think it's a good program, and come to our meeting and you'll see the vote take place and discussion as well on this program.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Mr. Medense, the same question to you. How will you deal with insurance issues so loans can be available for sales?
I think that the board has done a lot of studies into this and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, not everybody knows what it's all about or what they're being said. So again, the question would be, what would I do? I would start all over again. There's got to be a lender up there that is willing to meet our requirements. And doesn't cost anything to start looking for one. Everybody's going to tell me we did that, but we only got 2 or 3 people that were involved in that, and that's not the right way to do it. I am sure that if you put the question to everybody to come up with a lender, somebody will come up with something, because they know people that know people that know people, etc. So what they're doing right now for the private lenders, good luck. I hope it works.
Thank you, Mr. Medense. Ms. Willis, the same question to you. How will you deal with insurance issues so loans can be available for sales?
It's gotten very expensive, and I know last year or whenever it was that I was told I have a $5,000 deductible. I called my private insurance company and took it up, that coverage, covering that deductible. So I think there might be some kind of balance to be had if we maybe did a survey or something of various insurance companies to find out, okay, what can we add to our private insurance that will help, and then we may need, we'll need a certain amount of insurance, but I just pay maybe $35 extra a year to take it up. maybe, and it was at a certain point, but maybe I took it up $15,000, and it cost me $35 or $36 to add to my insurance. So I think it's maybe a combination of both that we need to do. And I'm in favor of private institutional investors lending money. This has been done for a long time. I think the thing is, you need to know who you're dealing with. They need to have a track record, and we need to not be put on hold or any final kind of financial detriment to us. But I think there has to be probably, just some kind of approved people doing this. And so that's what but I'm open to it, definitely.
Thank you, Ms. Willis. In the interest of time, because we have a hard stop at 12:30, we are going to begin the closing statements of the candidates. And we are going to let you know that some of the candidates have expressed an interest in staying about 15 minutes or so following the forum today, if you wanted to speak with them directly. And so if the candidates are ready, we will begin the closing statements. They are 2-minute statements, and we will begin with Ms. Leonard.
Okay. I will work for us to maintain our community through preservation of property value, through Loans for United, restoration of aging infrastructure, more effective roof inspections, relining of sewer pipes and water intrusion, roof inspections through drones rather than sending up Lettner, innovation, open communication of pending board resolutions, community outreach, publish via an e-blast or the Globe, TV6, weekly, the understanding of proposals and resolutions. My promise to you is I pledge I will be vigilant and reduce wasteful spending. I pledge I will pay attention to the details of VMS management. I pledge I will fight for transparency. I pledge I will respect members, listen, help, and find solutions. I pledge I will be accessible to you. Please vote for me.
Thank you, Ms. Leonard. Ms. Quam, over to you for your closing statement.
Okay. I'm Sue Quam, and I'm the United Board Secretary, and I serve on numerous United and GRF committees. Since I was elected by the board in March to fill a vacancy, I've learned so much and met many dedicated and talented staff members, board members, and advisors. I've learned about our residents and the operations required to run our village. And what I learned that is most surprising is that we are operating a city that not only maintains city infrastructure, but also our shared buildings and our individual manners. This is highly unusual. To my knowledge, nowhere else is a city also responsible for its members' homes. Here are the things that I'll focus on. I'll work to improve communication. Communication is key to how we get along. We have to work more cooperatively with each other. I'll try teamwork with win-win solutions and returning civility to our interactions with each other and keeping United Mutual great and the assessments reasonable. And how will I do this? I have a long history of success in the Governor's Office of Information Technology of Colorado. I worked in the Colorado legislature. I advocated on behalf of many state agencies of private nonprofits. We always won. Hands down, we stomped them. And how we did that was by working together and getting the compromises before we went forward. We just didn't try to say, I'm going to win and you're going to lose. So I think that's very important. I want to enhance the value of our manners and the landscape. So I ask for your vote for what I've done for the village and what I can continue to do.
Thank you, Ms. Quam. Mr. Ross, your closing statement, please.
So our number one job is to complete our 2024 budget. We're continuing to work very closely with staff to best control rapidly increasing expenses due to increased property insurance, inflation, and an aging infrastructure. We also have to look at how United spends money, but also how GRF spends money, because how they spend money is our money. And when we see waste taking place in GRF, it's up to each of us as board of directors to identify that waste and stop it. And we need to speak out more vocally on that. And we think we're doing that for Building E. Other programs are similar to that and need to be advised to the community and need to be torn down if needed, because we are spending too much money. There is waste. And the other thing I wanted to say, we're looking over the next 3 to 5 years to further improve United's financial situation by adding to reserves as needed, evaluating any possible ways to increase our revenues and reduce our expenses. And I'm hoping, and I greatly appreciate your support to select me back onto the board to continue to welcome our members to our board meetings and keep the decorum professional and
30
businesslike.
seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Mr. Medense, over to you for your closing statement, please.
Well, I'm going to restate what I said in my opening statement. The reason I'm here is to represent all of us into this. I am sick and tired of coming to board meetings and they tell me all the money they save for us and the dues keep coming up. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm not an engineer, I'm not a mathematician, but it doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, that's what I want to bring to the board. Sense. Because it has to make sense. Otherwise, we're just going in circles. Why are we blaming GRF for something when United has control of something else? Something is happening. There is no communication. I've been to meetings where Lenny has spoken to GRF telling me that they invested the money in the wrong place. No answer. I come to these meetings and I have questions, no answers. I am tired of no answers. I want transparency. It's very simple, guys. We live in a great community. We have to represent not Asian Americans, not Latin Americans. We're all Americans. We're here. So it has to be one, period. There is no, I don't represent any clubs. I don't represent anything. I just represent us. And I'm tired of what's going on. So that's what I want you to vote. If you want me here, fine. If you don't, that's fine with me. But I got to say my piece. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Medense.
I may not have made it clear that we appreciate your smiles and your clapping at the end of each participant's statement, not during it. Thank you.
Ms. Willis, we would like your 2-minute closing statement, please.
Okay, I'll repeat my name, Georgiana Willis. United is a beautiful place to live, and as I said earlier, it's poorly managed. I mentioned the $58 million paid for approximately 700 employees, and again, that is twice all of the other expenses combined. So that seems inordinately high. We've also had other expenses. For example, the Equestrian Center is planning to buy a trailer that carries horses. It costs multiple horses. It costs about $27,000. The only problem is we don't show horses. If someone owns horses and they want to take them to a horse show, it's their responsibility to buy their trailer, not my money, just as it was not my responsibility to pay for EV charging stations when people can pay for those hookups, $250 a year with GRF. So if I'm elected, I will investigate and ask questions. I will exercise prudent fiscal management, and I will listen carefully to all residents. Because this is a beautiful community. There are a lot of good people here, but they don't deserve to have their money spent like it's water and like it doesn't matter. Because what is happening now, people who've been here for 35 or 40 years are moving out because of the rapid increase in the HOA. So anyway, I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Willis. Ms. Carlson, may we have your closing statement, please?
Yes, Nancy Carlson. I'm not going to read notes I made. I think we've been in an upside-down situation from the perspective of who's in control of Laguna Woods Village. I want to remind you, this is a corporation. This corporation is an association of members. United, Third, and the Towers are the bosses. VMS and GRF work for us. I cannot tell you how many people, members, say to me that we are under their control. We can't do it because GRF says this in VMS. I gave you an example earlier about how I've done everything correctly, and VMS is telling me, yes, you can have this, and they're not producing. And it's not a big item. But the point is, I have a laundry list of items that I can say here which would reiterate a lot of what the people have, so bear the truth that I'm interested in all these things. And you can probably figure out for me by right now that I go to these meetings and I'm a details person. And I want to see how GRF and VMS are supporting their budgets. And what that reveals to me is, it gives me the opportunity to evaluate, are they overstaffed? We have security vehicles. Where I do physical therapy, they're hiding in the garage.
30 seconds.
Where I go to physical therapy, 13 cars, 11 cars at a time. They have enough security officers to be leafleting every single carport because of a broom and a dustpan to the person on the right of me and a shovel on the person to the left of me. We have too many security personnel. That's what I don't want to be jumping in like I'm going after security or this and that. But the members are speaking, but they feel the board isn't listening. And I feel, as a business executive, that the board hasn't had the courage to put in line GRF and VMS.
Thank you, Ms. Carlson. Ms. Choi Ho, excuse me, your closing statement.
The privilege of living in Laguna Woods Village is a treasure that comes with abundant amenities, engaging club activities, and valuable classes. Our fellow residents, together with our hardworking employees, make it a vibrant and diverse place to call home. Embracing diversity is a core value I hold dear. I firmly believe that we can thrive when we come together, speaking various languages, celebrating different cultures. Divisions have no place in our united community. I am passionate about advocating for every resident's interests. My goal is simple: to foster unity and cooperation among us. It's about creating an environment where we can listen, learn, and communicate effectively. When faced with challenges, I believe in rational discussions, fact-based analysis, and collaborative problem solving. I bring a wealth of experience to the table. With my background as a former chemistry professor, teacher, minister, counselor, and administrator of large financial organizations, I am confident in my ability to serve effectively on the boards of directors on the United Mutual.
30 seconds.
Together, we can make difference. We can move forward. Let's work hand in hand to ensure a bright future to Laguna Village. Please vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Choi Ho. All right. Thank you all for your time today and your interest in the governance of our community. I want to thank my wonderful co-moderator, Ms. Maxine McIntosh. Thank you so much.
It's been fun, hasn't it?
It has been fun. And I also want to thank our wonderful corporate secretaries, Michaela and Paul, for your support and your expertise. For the candidates, we thank you for your service and your dedication to representing the needs of every single one of us who is proud to call Laguna Woods our home. Thank you very much. We celebrate you. And with that, I declare this meeting adjourned.
Oh,
Recording stopped.
I'm sorry, we lost that.